In the last video, you got the final riff of 2021 and I shared some cool motivational stuff with you. Well, this is the first video of 2022 and I figured, the riff I played for you in the last video was pretty cool. So I figured I'd make this into a 7-string melodic metal guitar lesson. Now, before we get started, if you do not have a 7-string guitar, go get one. Seriously, I'm halfway joking. You can play this riff on your 6-string, obviously, as well. So you would just play it on the E and A string instead of the B and E string as we're doing on the 7. I'll talk more about that later, but I want to also let you know for my Patreon supporters, you guys are going to get, actually you already have it right now, you'll have the backing tracks and the guitar tabs for both 7 and 6 strings. You'll have both versions of this lesson here, so check that. There's also a link in the description of this video to my Patreon site if you guys want to check that out. Let's dig into this melodic metal guitar lesson on a 7-string. That can also be played on the 6-string. Alright, first I'm just going to start out by playing the riff all the way through, and I'm going to play both parts. There's actually 2 pieces to this riff. They sound similar, but I want you to pick up on how I play it the second time around, and I will break both of these parts down, okay, one at a time. So here is the riff with no other background music, just raw guitars, raw 7-string, and of course the raw EVH amp here. So let's start out with the basic chord structure here, okay? So there are 3 power chords that we're playing. That simplifies it. And I love to start out this way. I like to kind of break things down, kind of go back to the very beginning, just to the very core nature of the song. What's the structure, okay? Once we know the structure, that kind of helps us play everything else, because really it's just a bunch of how we play those power chords and little nuances and things that we add in to that structure. So what we're doing is we're playing, and again, I'm on a 7-string guitar in standard tuning. My big string here is tuned to B, and of course everything E to E is standard there. So we're playing the power chords C, D, and E. That's it. Now we know the structure. Everything else will be simple. We're just going to modify those chords within that structure. And again, I like to start out with just that simple foundation first, and that helps us understand really how the song is going to go, and helps us learn it a little bit better once you learn the structure of it. So that's just kind of a tip when you're learning songs. Don't worry so much about the riff right away. Learn the structure of the song, learn the progression rather of that song, and it makes it easier to actually dig into and to learn the riffs after that. So little tip there that I didn't expect to give you, but hey, sometimes these cool things just pop out. All right, so what we're doing is on that first chord, that first C chord, we're playing the power chord, but I'm doing some choppy patterns, some choppy stuff in between here, kind of going back and forth a lot between those 2 strings, the B and the E string on that power chord. And you'll notice I start out not playing the actual power chord. Instead, I'm playing that first string, first fret, right? The B string, first fret, but I'm playing that second note on the 2nd fret of the E string instead of the 3rd, right? So it sounds like this. Now that already sounds like a really killer, dark and wicked intro to something, just kind of grabs you. I love that chord. But that's basically what we're playing here. Okay, so we're just kind of chopping it up, going back and forth between those 2 strings there. And then we're starting out with that, again, that first fret of the first string and second fret of the second string there, and then kind of moving it back to the regular power chord after that. Let's go through that one more time, and you also notice I'm going to that G, kind of chopping it up. It's just like this really cool choppy melodic pattern. Now we're going to carry that same cadence into the next power chord that we're going to play, which is going to be our E power chord. Same cadence, same type of riff. Now we've got another little riff that we do at the end of it, and we'll go over that, but this is how that's going to sound. Okay, again, same cadence. Now, I don't want to confuse you guys. Sometimes, and I just noticed this when I was watching myself on camera, sometimes I play my power chords with my first and third. Other times I'll play it with my first and pinky finger there. You'll notice I'm not consistent with that, and this is just something that it's kind of just the way I play. So follow your own intuition. Do what feels most natural to you. Obviously, since we're doing that last little riff starting with our pinky finger there on that E power chord, it makes sense to play with your first and third finger, right? But sometimes I might even do this. It makes no sense why I use one over the other sometimes and why I'm not consistent with that, but I just don't want to confuse you. Again, don't necessarily follow what I'm doing here. Play what's most natural to you. This is just kind of a weird thing that happens to me, and I don't know. I don't even think about it. It just kind of, whatever I feel like playing is what I play. So anyway, I didn't want to confuse you over seeing, well, you're playing it sometimes with that finger and other times with that finger. Which one's right? Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. What's most comfortable to you and what feels most natural to you, that's going to be the right way. And if you're like me, both ways feel natural, so it just kind of whatever. All right, let's move on. So you see it's the same cadence. You know, we're doing that choppy pattern there back and forth between the two strings, and that's the cool rhythmic part of this riff here. And this time our frets are a little bit different. Like last time we had the actual power chord, but then that second note we're going up one fret. This time we're going up 2 frets, right? So before we're doing this, that second note of the power chord, there's only 1 fret difference there, okay? Here on the E power chord, there's going to be a difference of 2 frets between what would be the power chord and the variation that we're playing here, okay? So I'm barring those first 2 frets there, the 5th fret on the B and the E string. Simple riff there, all that is. And what's cool about this riff, we're playing everything just on those first 2 strings. Of course, I always encourage you guys to venture out when you're playing your 7 string, venture out throughout the rest of the fretboard. There's many, many other notes here, but we're just keeping this pattern kind of simple for now. If I were going to put like another part to the song, which I may decide to, I just kind of made this up here. This was actually a riff, if you remember, it was a riff from my last video. It was like the last riff of 2021. So, you know, after you see this video, if you want to go back and catch that, it's a pretty cool thing there. I give some motivation for the new 2022 New Year here. So anyway, again, what we're doing here, we're keeping it kind of simple for the most part, but if I were going to add something to it, like a chorus, or maybe this is a chorus and I was going to add a verse or whatever, I would probably add another part. The other part of the song would be in a different key, right? So that's something I'll talk about later. I'm kind of getting off track here. You guys know I'm good at doing that, or bad at doing that, however you want to see it. We are on that E string, and it's basically a walk down and then kind of a walk back up and then go over to the next string type of thing. We're on frets 8, 7, 5, okay, back to 7. 7, 5, back to 7, 5. That's it for the E string. For the B string, we're going to go 8, 0. Then we go right into that second part of the riff, which we're going to go over. And the only thing that's different, everything remains the same. The only thing that's different is we change the picking pattern up a little bit. And this is a technique. This is a strategy that I want you guys to use when you're writing music. Maybe you play the first part of the riff a certain way, and then maybe the song calls to do that again, or maybe it calls to, hey, let's change things up just a little bit, keep the same structure, keep the same cadence and flow, but let's just do something just a little bit different to kind of like just spice it up, just kind of help push the song along. Okay, the whole point of writing music is almost like marketing. You want the person listening to continue listening. Sometimes if the song if it's just the same all the way through and there's not enough differentiation, there's not enough different parts, sometimes the listener might get a little bored. And you know, we are in the scroll generation, right? If it doesn't excite us within 3 seconds, we're on to the next thing. So it's not to say that you should change your song to cater to that. I'm not saying that, but I think there is a case to be made to say, well, this part of the song's this way. What if I just make a subtle little change to it? It makes the song a little bit more exciting and a little bit more enticing and captivating. So all we're doing here, and you don't have to do this. Maybe you keep the song like it is. Maybe you like the way it is, and sometimes simple is better. Sometimes, a lot of times, less is more. But this is, again, just a strategy. Don't mean to harp on that so much, but you know, there's two ways to look at it, and I want you guys to see the full spectrum here, okay? What I'm doing, instead of this, I'm doing this. Listen to the picking pattern. Listen to how I'm palm muting. Listen to the notes, okay? So all I'm doing, very subtle, simple change. I'm really not doing much of anything that different. But what I'm doing here is, instead of the steady palm mute on that one note, I palm mute going back and forth. And I have an open note in there as well, back and forth between the two strings, like an open note palm mute type thing. So listen to this real carefully again. Again, just capture that very slight little change. And I want to play the two back to back just so you can hear the difference between the two. So the first part will be how we play it the first time around. The second part will be how the second part of the riff is played. Just listen to the picking differences, okay? Sometimes when you want to make a change to a song, when you want to just change it just a little bit, it's like, okay, it's the very same, but I want to just add something. There's something missing here. It feels like something could be different. A lot of times you can just make one subtle little change in the picking pattern, like I just did there, and the way I'm palm muting, or the notes that I'm palm muting. You know, we've got that steady palm mute starting out, but then the second time we go with this riff, we're going back and forth. It's a little bit more choppy. We're still palm muting, but we just kind of chop it up a little bit. It's enough of a difference to really, I believe, captivate the listener. When I was recording this the other day, I was like, man, this is cool. I'm probably going to use this for something, so don't steal my riff. I always say that, but I'm totally joking. But no, I probably will end up using this or something similar in a song because I'm really liking the riff. I'm really liking the melody here. But yeah, I kind of wanted just to share that with you guys and just go over those subtle little changes that you can make. Now, real quick, what if you just have a 6-string guitar? So you would basically do the same thing. You guys already know this, but you're just going to play the riff that we just played on those first 2 strings, okay? And that's it. Man, what a difference I feel between the 2 strings, the 7 strings, the 7-string guitar and my 6-string. So real quick, you guys who have been subscribed to me for some time, thank you, by the way. You guys have seen these guitars in countless videos. This one's the ESP E2 Horizon FR7. And then this one I've had a long time. This is the LTD and 1000 Deluxe. Both phenomenal guitars. I love them dearly. Probably will never part with either one. But I just wanted to show you the 6-string pattern. There's no need to me to dive deep into this because, again, it's the same thing. Again, for my Patreon supporters, I actually have the tabs available for you for both 6 and 7-string, as well as the backing tracks for both 6 and 7-string. I realize not everyone has a 7-string guitar, but I've got the backing tracks and tabs for both 7 and 6-string, so you can play along with those backing tracks. Again, that's for my Patreon supporters. I like to do the extra for you folks because you're supporting me, and hey, I appreciate that. There is a link to that in the description of this video if you'd like to join that. Also, don't forget, if you don't have my free practice guide, grab a copy of that. That's something that's helped a lot of guitar players. It's basically just a video I give you, and I have downloadable tabs on a page that I give you as well. You get that in the first email that you receive from me once you sign up. And I've got some more stuff that I'm giving away as well. Now, this new stuff that I'm starting to give away, those of you who have been subscribed to my email, I'm going to be sending that to you, okay? I'm not going to give like the new folks stuff that you're not getting. I'm going to make sure everyone gets my free stuff. If you're already on my email and you haven't got into my guitar courses, I've got the Metal Riff Master course out there. That's kind of my flagship metal guitar course. Now that course is for folks that are at least at like an intermediate, I'd say even a lower to mid intermediate at least level of playing guitar. That course is going to serve you quite well. You'll learn over 80 metal riffs in that course, and I got a lot of freebies and bonuses that I give away in that course as well. Now, if you're just starting to play metal guitar, you'll want to take my Metal Guitar Apprentice course first. That's going to give you the foundation of playing metal music. So all the links to these guys, I know it's a lot I just spit out at you there, but all the links to everything, that's in the description. So be sure to check that out. And I wanted to remind you guys coming up, you probably saw my last video, which was my last riff of 2021, which actually is the riff you learned on 7-string. I think I stated that earlier. One of the things I talked about though was I might share my annual planning process with you guys. Now we're kind of getting into, I don't want to say a business side of things, but I think this stuff can help you. That's going to be on the next video. This stuff will help you really in every aspect of life, whether it's planning for your business or your job, or maybe you want to play guitar for a living. You want to get into music and have that be at least a part-time, if not a full-time income. This isn't one of those how to be an entrepreneur type things, anything like that. It's just kind of me sharing a little bit of my process with you, which again, I believe, you know, it relates to every aspect of life, right? It can carry over to everything. So I'm looking at my whiteboard behind me now. So I've got some stuff I want to share with you. A lot of you had expressed interest in that. So I think the next video I put out will be kind of what I do for my annual planning, or kind of what I just did last week for my 2022 plan, the things that I want to accomplish and how I go about just kind of writing that out. Pretty simple process. I had a complicated process a year before. Complicated stuff doesn't work for me. I don't think it works for most people. And but anyway, I'm going to share that with you on the next video. I'm probably going to start filming that right after I press the stop button here. I'll get to work on that for you. But yeah, that'll be the next video coming out, so hang around for that. And guys, thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for supporting my channel. I truly appreciate it. I really do. Make sure you give this a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be cranking out a lot of content for 2022. You got a lot of good stuff coming your way. So again, stay tuned for that, guys, and you know what to do until the next video, right? Yes, you do. Keep it metal. I'll see you guys soon.